Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the Vani Association of His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. We will be playing the recorded class of Maharaj from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter number 24, sloka number 3. Kindly give me a couple of minutes, I will start the session.
The following is a lecture given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami on June 10th, 1985 in Toronto, Canada. The class begins with a reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 27, Text 3.
Anjani embraced the king, and the king also responded by embracing her shoulders. In this way, in a solitary place, they enjoyed joking words. Thus King Puranjana became very much captivated by his beautiful wife and deviated from his good sense. He forgot that the passing of days and nights meant that his span of life was being reduced without profit. Purport. The word pramada, purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word pramada in this verse is very significant. A beautiful wife is certainly enlivening to her husband, but at the same time is the cause of degradation. The word pramada.
Hare Krishna devotees, is the voice audible?
Yes,
Voice
Prabhu.
is little bit
Audible.
low,
It's very
Prabhu.
low. It is very low, Prabhu. If you could just.
Okay, I'll play it now. You can tell Prabhu.
Means enlivening as well as
Yeah.
maddening.
Is it better, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Generally, a householder does not take passing of days and nights very seriously. A person in ignorance takes it as the usual course that days come, and after the days, the nights come. This is the law of material nature. But a man in ignorance does not know that when the sun rises early in the morning, it begins to take away the balance of his life. Thus, day after day, the span of one's life is reduced. And forgetting the duty of human life, the foolish man simply remains in the company of his wife and enjoys her in a secluded place. Such a condition is called apakrishta chaitana, or degraded consciousness. Human consciousness should be used for elevation to Krishna consciousness. But when a person is too much attracted to his wife and family affairs, he does not take Krishna consciousness very seriously. He thus becomes degraded, not knowing that he cannot buy back even a second of his life in return for millions of dollars. The greatest loss in life is passing time without understanding Krishna. Every moment of our lives should be utilized properly. And the proper use of life is to increase devotional service to the Lord. Without devotional service to the Lord, the activities of life become simply a waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Simply by becoming dutiful, We do not make any profit in life, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam 128. Dharma swanushtita pumsam vishwakshena kota suja notpadayat yatirating shama eva hi kevalam. If after performing one's occupational duty very perfectly, one does not make progress in Krishna consciousness, it should be understood that he has simply wasted his time in valueless labor. Thus ends the purport and translation by His Divine Grace Srila Abhoy Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 27, Text 3. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, this is a continuation of the history of King Puranjana, an allegorical story told by Narada Muni to the king Prachinabhadhi, which illustrates the way that the material nature, our bodies, our environment, conditions us, and the way in which we become entangled in material activities. Of course, also through these illustrations, Narada Muni is expert in enlivening the devotees, enlivening the fallen souls, to take up devotional service, because in contrast with the material activities, when properly explained and understood, one can understand that actually perform devotional service is the perfection of life. So here in this example, King Puranjana, he's coming home, greeting his wife, and he's enjoying the nuptial bliss of household life. This can be equally reversed to women. It's from the other angle of vision. In this way, life is passing by, and they're forgetting everything else, just absorbed in their little material happiness. And gradually, before they know it, their lifespan is decreased. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sang in his song Udali Aruna Purva Bhagavad, one verse which also says similar statement, that with ever rising and passing of the sun, our lifespan is decreased. Wake up. Don't you see how you're losing the valuable time to practice Krishna consciousness? According to Vedic culture, everyone has given a certain period to live on this earth, in this particular body. It's like the motor automobile manufacturers have a planned obsolescence, that the vehicle should fall apart after so many years. So, according to the law of karma, this body is to last a certain number of breaths. How you use your breaths, how many breaths you use, the more every time you breathe, what to speak of every day. Every time your heart beats, that's one more moment you will become closer to leaving your body. If a person is built up enough spiritually, but then if they're Krishna conscious enough, they can go back to Krishna when they leave their body. But just at the last second, it's not always possible to focus the mind unless one has got some already pre-cultivated consciousness. So, Parikshit Maharaj, he was cursed for 7 days. As soon as he knew, I have only 7 days to live, Immediately he concentrated himself 7 days, day and night, he simply heard the Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, then after that, he was able to achieve the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. There was Maharaj Katwanga. He had been fighting for the demigods, and the demigods offered him anything he wanted in the material world. So the first thing he asked is, how long do I have to live? What's the use of asking anything in the world if you don't have any time? So he said, how long do I have to live? Then it didn't take them long to figure out through their vision. They told him, well, you have 1 moment to live. When he heard that, then immediately he stopped everything and absorbed himself in Krishna consciousness. Time's up. And in 1 moment, he was able to achieve pure Krishna consciousness. He was able to absorb himself. But it's very rare. I'm not sure if he's the same person. One person had a very small period of time, maybe it's the same, and he used that reading the Bhagavatam. Then he was given another week. So then he used the whole, or given a day, then he used the whole day to read the Bhagavatam. So then he got a week, so then he used the whole week. Then he got a month, he used the whole month. He got 1 year, so then he read the Bhagavatam for the whole year. Then after that they just took him back to Godhead. He kept extending his life 1 more period by reading the Bhagavatam, and so then finally, by reading the Bhagavatam, they just took him back to Godhead. Achieved eternal life. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is very important. Practice of Krishna consciousness. It's not very important, it's the most important. So all of these different great personalities, they knew how much time they had. Srila Prabhupada explained in the purport, we're at a disadvantage. We can't go to anyone and say, what's on our scorecard? What if we knew we had 1 year to go? Or 10 years to go? Sometimes devotees leave. Already from our midst are some God brothers and devotees have left the planet. Can anyone say how long we are going to be here emphatically? Astrologers can say something, but it's not definite. It can be changed. Plus, astrology doesn't apply perfectly for devotees. They defy the principles of astrology. So, Lord Chaitanya, he's given a process that everyone can practice. Rather than simply being, even in the animal births, one can enjoy these happinesses. You see sometimes in India, you see the wild dogs running around, stray dogs, enjoying their little family affairs right there in the street all the time. Sniffing each other and cuddling up and everything, running around and biting each other on the neck and rolling, doing so many other things. So they seem to be enjoying life. So these same kind of things, if a human being uses their valuable time, then what is the advantage? That's why Lord Chaitanya is saying, Jeev Jago Jija, wake up to the opportunity we have, wake up to the opportunity we have to become Krishna conscious in this lifetime and achieve the real happiness. I remember one time Prabhupada was giving a lecture at a railway station called Chaktaha. Chaktaha, we went there because there was a temple of Mahesh Pandit, one of the associates of Lord Chaitanya. Mahesh Pandit was a very great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And Chaktaha is about halfway between Mayapur and Calcutta, about an hour and a half drive. It's right near the picnic place where Prabhupada used to stop whenever he go out Maybe some of you who have been to Mayapur know about that picnic place. So their sadhu that was there, he asked Prabhupada to come, that he wanted to give that temple or surrender and become a part of ISKCON. Many other sadhus had said the same thing, and some of them, like Bhakti Prabhava Swami, they actually surrendered their temples. So this sadhu invited Prabhupada, gave very strong lectures, how the people there, he gave a fantastic idea. He said, look, you people are so fortunate. And this was in the Palpar, this was in the place of Mahesh Pandit. I'll get back to Chakta later. It's about 2 miles from Chakta. He got all the villagers together. He said, you are so fortunate. Here in your village, you have this ancient shrine of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you should make this temple the center of your lives. Well, they said, we're very poor. How can we? He said, you should all take Krishna Prasad. He said, the temple is very poor. We're very poor. How can we afford to take? The temple can't afford to give us. How can we take Krishna Prasad? So Srila Prabhupada suggested that most of the people were commuters into Calcutta for jobs, and a few were local agriculturalists, but most of them were commuters. So he told them every Sunday, whatever you would normally eat, right, you all eat, so whatever you would normally eat, you all put together and come and give here to the temple. Jointly cook it together, the brahmana, the better, cook it together. Offer to the deity of Nitai Gaur, beautiful deities of Lord Chaitanya there. Offer it, and then you all take prasad. What a simple idea. It's kind of like a spontaneous transcendental picnic. Everyone can come together and offer. But people are so lethargic that it's very hard unless one constantly is encouraging them to take up a little bit of spiritual practices. So then Prabhupada started to realize that this sadhu had a couple of Didimas who were an intrinsic part of his temple, and he was very familiar with these Didimas. Didi means older sister, and usually they call any kind of, you're supposed to call everyone mother. So they call like some older type of auntie Didima, out of some respect, something like that. It's like saying auntie or something. But these Didimas weren't that old. And the relationship would seem a little bit mushy for a sadhu, sannyasi kind of person to be there. So Prabhupada started to pick up, and he said that, I think you should come and stay in our temple for 6 months in Mayapur. Or otherwise get rid of the Didimas and let them come and stay in our temple. And you just stay here with Chutananda Swami. Just stay here. Well, he was very attached to these Didimas. Seems something was a little fishy. So in the end, it didn't work out. We didn't take that place because Prabhupada, he didn't want to take the place unless the person became a little more strict in his association with women as a sadhu sannyasi, or get married, but not what he was doing. So in India, there's a lot of things like that where there's temples and people just don't follow strictly. They appear to follow. When you go into it, you see that there's a lot of discrepancies. So Prabhupada only wanted to have people associated with ISKCON who would represent the pure standard, at least for our temples and shrines. So then Prabhupada went back to Chaktaha, which was a much bigger city. I mean, about, say, 20,000-30,000 people. Also all commuters. So then, the first thing he said in his lecture was he quoted the verse from the 5th canto, where he said that, don't go after the pleasure which is available in the species of stool eaters, such as hogs and dogs, simply working hard for a little momentary pleasure. try to achieve the unlimited happiness of transcendental bliss through Krishna consciousness. People were totally, this first thing he said, just quoted that verse in Sanskrit, translated it perfectly, and then he said that you people are daily passengers. You wait for half an hour for the train to come. You go in the train for 2 hours to Calcutta. Then an hour you go by bus or walk to your work. You work hard. You take for lunch a little tea or biscuit. Then at the end of your work, again 1 hour by crowded bus, 2 hours by train, and then come back to your house. You see your family and kids. Some nights you enjoy a little sex life. Some nights you just go to sleep. And again the next day you do the same thing. So is this the purpose of human life? Simply to work hard like this, like an ass? Totally overwhelmed by Prabhupada's words. But many of the people start nodding their heads. So then what is the solution? So Prabhupada said the solution is you have to begin chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So of course, due to economic reasons, many of those people could not give up their jobs and stop the commuting and just... But what happened was, remarkably, after Prabhupada gave this one lecture in Chaktaha, it was noticed that on the daily commuting train, at least 50% of the cars, at least those cars that were coming from Chakta, the people brought kartals with them and chanted Hare Krishna all the way in and all the way out while on their commuting train. Srila Prabhupada ki! The point is that it's not that one has to necessarily 100% change everything that one's doing. One may not be able to in the Kali Yuga. But actually one has to change one's consciousness. One has to start practicing spiritual life, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, associating with devotees, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, doing devotional service. Of course, Srila Prabhupada said that sometimes people say, listen, it's so hellish out there. We just can't be Krishna conscious, working at the normal jobs, associating with all the materialistic people. So then Prabhupada said, well then you come, husband, wife, whole family, you come and live in our communities, you do some service, chant Hare Krishna, and be happy. Even in India, you'd be surprised, there are so many obstacles. People in general, maybe the standard of Krishna consciousness is higher than the standard in the West, but the standard there may be, say, 10% or 20% Krishna consciousness, and maybe here it's 0.05 or something like that, or 0.02 or whatever. But the actual inertia in India is so incredible that if somebody else moves up and becomes even 50% Krishna conscious, the other people feel intimidated. What's wrong with you? You becoming a sadhu or something? If a kid wears the neck beads to school, where there's practically nil Krishna conscious, even in India, before we had our Gurukul, we sent one boy with shaved head, Sika, Kuntimala, to the Bhakti Vinod Institute, which was started by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to preserve the teachings of Bhakti Vinod, but because of the failure of the Gaudiya Math, has been turned into a public school with all Karmi teachers. So it's just a name. It's like a private school funded and aided by the government. So the name is Bhakti Vinod Institute, but the whole management has to toe the line with the government standard, all Karmi teachers. So in the Bhakti Vinod Institute, a boy was sitting there. The teacher started to blaspheme Krishna What's blasphemy? What's wrong with you? Why are you wearing these things? This is archaic. This is the ruination of our country. That. Just blasting this little 12-year-old kid for wearing as a Vaishnava in the Bhakti Vinod Institute at the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I mean, what to speak if he had gone, to some other school. So even in India, to be surprised, I had one Namhata disciple who was a Brahmin by birth, and by profession, he's a quack doctor. Don't laugh. That in India, just like a person's a pharmacist, or one's a doctor, MD, homeopath, then there's one gradation, quack. That's considered a little below a full doctor. Means maybe he served as the assistant to a doctor for 5 years, and now he's become a bona fide quack. But they say very seriously, they say, I'm a quack doctor. It's like, it doesn't have the same connotation it does here. It means that he's a country doctor that doesn't have a degree, but he knows something. So, there's no regular doctor will go the places he'll go, and he'll take, regular doctor take 20 rupees, he'll take 5. So if you just have a little something wrong, then a little poor, then go to the quack. At least they don't hide what they are. If it's something heavy, then they have contact with the higher doctors, and they tell the people, it's beyond my capacity, you better go to the MD, or MBBS, or whatever they have their other things. So, anyway, he's a very nice devotee, has little Radha Krishna deities. So when he became a disciple of the Hare Krishna movement, all of the caste brahmanas of his area boycotted him, and they garrowed him. They actually put him under house arrest. They said, you've taken initiation from a a mlecha, this, that, now you're ruined the Brahminical culture, this, the same, whole thing, and they wouldn't let him leave his house, they wouldn't let anyone go. He was like virtually just kept there. The whole, they degraded, blasphemed him to the whole village. So we had to send in one of our brahmachari preachers to go there and rescue him. Challenge the brahmanas, defeat them in a major debate. What is the real qualification of a brahmana, of a Vaishnava? How the initiation, what is the meaning? Defeat them in a public debate, and then free the disciples and go and do his doctorate and this and that. And then, that was like 2 years ago. So that kind of, finally, he was even beaten up one time by some sons of the brahmanas who thought, that they're just trying to keep away this whole. So we went there and did a big Namhat program like you saw in the slideshow. And then again this year we went there. And so now there's 2-3 Namhat centers there. And, well, he has a big following of about 30-40 people who are regular coming. And now all those caste brahmanas are just like faded out. So but in India, you have to go through a tremendous amount of this kind of thing. It's not, here you have different problems, with devotees who are addicted to intoxication, addicted to illicit sex, addicted to these kind of things mainly. Meat eating to some extent. But India is a little bit meat eating, and there you have people very attached to their family situation and very hung up on all these kind of more subtle casteism, Brahmanism, Maya, social problem. Nobody wants someone else to step out and become more advanced in Krishna consciousness. So therefore, even in India, it's very difficult for some people. Now that devotee wanted to give up his temple, wanted to go and live in Mayapur. I told him, no, you have to stay there because I want you to make that whole village Krishna conscious. Because I had experienced a lot of families when they just come to Mayapur, they just end up squeegeeing the floor. And if they stay in their own village, they actually become like temple presidents of their Namhat center. And now he's a Upachakra Senapati in charge of 5 Namhat groups. And he established one Namhat group in an in a trading center of the area and of all rich people. And so they're financing all the Namhat activities in the other areas, so that's really given him a boost. So anyway, the point is that generally, even the so-called somewhat Krishna-conscious Indian type of Griya, even in India, who may occasionally chant or occasionally do some puja, something, they're also just absorbed in the kids growing up and the daily affairs and things like that. What to speak of someone who's really in an enjoying mood and just absorbed in this type. I mean, the king here is just totally absorbed in playing with his wife and enjoying these intimate little pastimes. So they totally lose sight of the way the time passes by. And when they want to do something, then they don't have the strength anymore. Finally, when their body becomes too weak to get into to enjoy anymore the physical pleasure, which in the West, people, they don't wake up at all, even in their old age. There was one person had a heart transplant, he was ready to die, and then the thing he broadcasted, 65-year-old man, that I feel great as ever, I just had sex with my wife. At 65, he's very happy. Heart transplant, that was it. So they don't even think that there's something, they're just trying to get every last bit right to the very end. Right? There's no consciousness that there's something after this. Even if they say it, even if the people believe it, the twice born, but actually, what goes after this, people don't understand. And so this is very, very applicable for everyone, this type of instruction. That how our life by. And actually, if we used our life for practicing Krishna consciousness, in that case, we would become so blissful. Where's the actual bliss if you try to measure it? How much bliss do they really get? In Montreal, Canada, Prabhupada said in one lecture, I never forgot that. Just one little example, but just stuck in my mind. Maybe helped me in my initial days to the point of accepting a sannyas ashram. But the point that how everyone is working very hard during the day, they're doing their work, and they come home at night, and some people, they're enjoying sex life, and some people, they think they're unhappy because they're not enjoying sex life, they're sleeping. People enjoy sex life for a short time, then they sleep, then they wake up, and they work. So actually the whole day, time they're asleep, they're not enjoying. Everyone working, just thinking, when can I get off? Or some people, they may like what they're doing to some extent. That they might be an artist, or but they might pick the occupation which is most agreeable to them. But still, it's not. In most cases, I mean, it's not bliss. But they might like it to some extent. But the fame, the money they'll get from it, there's something else they're working for. If they didn't get paid for it, they would do it. In itself, it's not giving any transcendental pleasure or something. So the little fame or money, and at the end of the day, a little bit of the material happiness, then they think, well, they were just working blindly. So that standard of happiness is decried in the Vedas. This is not real human standard. That actually, if one should experience by Nityananda Prabhu's mercy so much happiness that pleasure of material life will seem insignificant. So that is the wonderful thing of Krishna consciousness. Everyone saying, give up this, give up that. That actually, practice Krishna consciousness, develop your realization of Krishna consciousness to the extent that you reach Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, that your transcendental bliss is at such a level that the material things will seem totally insignificant. That's real. Everything else is theory. Give it up, this, that, and the future. But this is something you can actually achieve, a level of Krishna consciousness where material happiness compared to the happiness you experience by the mercy of Nitai Gaur, material happiness is totally insignificant, trivial. So therefore, the Kripa Bindu Diya, we request, give me the drop of your mercy. So Lord Nityananda, you are Premananda Sukhi. You are ocean of transcendental happiness. You're always in ecstasy. To Kripa bola akhona koro. By the strength of your mercy, give me your mercy now. Ami boro dukhi. Because I am miserable. I am just wasting away here in the material world with no nectar. So give me just one drop of your transcendental pure love for Krishna. Because one drop from Lord Nityananda is like a tidal wave. For those of you who don't know what a tidal wave is, you could just read the recent newspaper, what happened in Bangladesh. There's a cyclone in the Bay of Bengal, all of a sudden a 30-foot wave, 30-foot high wall of water came rushing over, just knocking down trees, houses. You just look 30 feet, 3-story high wall of water. But that's because we want a tidal wave of Lord Nityananda's mercy. Let's just sweep us away in pure love for Krishna, knocking down with it all of our material attachments and fetishes and things which are superfluous, which are irrelevant to our eternal life. Bring everything down to size. So in spiritual life, tidal waves are all right if they're tidal waves of love for Godhead. Not in material life. They're very destructive. But in Lord Nityananda's case, his tidal wave of mercy is desirable. So that's the wonderful thing with Lord Nityananda. He doesn't consider who's qualified, who's unqualified. He's very independent. He's totally independent. He can give to anyone without any consideration. Therefore, not only Lord Nityananda, but even his disciples, his devotees, like Minikatan Ramdas, he would just go up to people. He had a little flute that was given to him by Lord Nityananda. He'd just go up to people and he'd just tap them with the flute. And Hari Bol, Hari Bol! They'd just start becoming ecstatic and jumping and chanting Hari Bol. They just feel a total just ecstasy of pure love for Krishna. So if we knew where the flute was today, maybe the research will uncover the flute. Be wonderful too. But actually, although maybe Lord Minikatan Ramdas is no longer there, actually he became so angry at one point that he broke his flute when Krishnadas Kaviraj's brother-in-law was offending Nityananda. So I don't know whether the flute's available anymore. But Lord Nityananda's mercy is still available. Adyapiha lila kore gorarai kono kono bhagyavan dekhe bari pai. One can still get the mercy of Lord Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even today. It's there for the asking. Lord Nityananda, please, you are always happy in spiritual bliss. I am miserable. Please give me. I am very unhappy due to not having pure Krishna consciousness. Give me your mercy. We should cling to the lotus feet of Nitai Gaur. Cling for our life. We don't know how many minutes we have left, how many seconds. Time up. So this not very long, this life, and it's very blissful to be practicing Krishna consciousness. So we should just cling somehow or another to the lotus feet of Nitai Gaur. By their mercy, we can experience this pure Krishna consciousness, pure love for Krishna. And that means automatically every moment of our lives will be utilized properly. See, by chanting Hare Krishna and engaging in this movement that Srila Prabhupada has given us, automatically one's time is properly used. Even the government people, they come and see our temple in Mayapur, they look, they say, everyone here is working, which in India is. They say, well, everyone is working. So we have never seen a temple where everyone is busy. Everyone is running. In fact, the guests complain when they go to Mayapur that they want to talk to a devotee. They're all rushing from there. Someone's going to the art gallery, someone's going to the construction site, someone's going to the Gurukul, Pujari's running his time for so many activities. Someone's going out on Sankirtan in all our temples. I think there's so many activities. But in Mayapur, these variegated. The people, they want to, excuse me, they hardly can get someone to stop long enough to find, oh, where's this, where's that, what's happening. So now we've creating a new service in Mayapur because we have about 20,000 guests come on some weekends. Guide. Full-time service. If another devotee wants to have no time, they have to talk to the people. So, Krishna consciousness is so wonderful that a person can actually enjoy what they're doing. Because it's for Krishna. We should become in the habit of consciously offering what we're doing to Krishna. Doing that which is devotional service and remembering this is for Krishna. When we're washing the floor or washing the pots or whatever we're doing, whether working in the office or the puja or Sankirtan, we should remember this is an offering to Guru and Krishna. And as our consciousness becomes absorbed, as we read yesterday in the Bhagavad Gita, so yukta vaivam, when it's absorbed in Krishna consciousness, then the service itself will give us transcendental happiness. The service will give us bliss. Then we don't become 9-to-5ers. In fact, people have to drag us. Come on, it's time to take prashadam, or it's time to take rest, or it's time. We have to regulate ourselves because the service is itself blissful. Remember how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he ran into the ocean at Puri, thinking it was the Jamuna, and he was floating in the ocean. Disjointed, and only the joints should be held together by the skin. So he's become 18 inches longer. And he's already golden color, but laying in the water, you know how your fingers become wrinkled and everything. So he became even more pale. So a fisherman caught him, thinking he was like this like weird hobgoblin or some creature. What is it? Because it doesn't. So he caught in the net. When he took him ashore, he wanted to get this thing out of the net. By touching Lord Chaitanya, immediately he achieved love for Godhead. Tears started coming, all this ecstatic quivering. And he was just a total fisherman, karmi, didn't know what was going on. He was crying and laughing, and he said, my God, I'm gone mad, What's happening? And so the devotees, they were going mad too, looking, where's Lord Chaitanya? They looked up and down the ocean, looked everywhere, looked in all the temples. They couldn't find him anywhere because they're all walking together. It was a little dark. All of a sudden, Lord Chaitanya just ran and jumped in the ocean. No one even saw him do it. So they told me, where did he go? They couldn't find him. So then Swarup Damodar and all the devotees, they were looking on the beach. And finally, they find this fisherman. And he's laughing, but he's also very afraid. They said, where is Lord Chaitanya? So they said, I've been taken over by a ghost. It's like, but he kept intermittently chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So then Swarup Damodar said, this is not the sign of man. This is the sign of what happens when somebody's got love for Godhead, ecstasy, but this person is tremendously afraid. So they said, at least I can cure you of your ghost haunting. You just wait, just stand there 1 second. don't worry, this is not going to hurt you much. Whack, whack, whack. He slapped him, 3 times on the face. He's all right. He shook him. You're all right now. Actually, he was just afraid. Actually, he was just feeling ecstasy of love for Godhead. So then, so then he said, well, now where is it? What happened to you? He said, well, there was this thing I caught in my net and I touched it. It's horrible. He goes, that must be Lord Chaitanya. No, Lord Chaitanya is so beautiful. I've seen Lord Chaitanya. This is a horrible thing. It's all white and extended and it's horrible. Oh, I can't think about it. I said, where is it? They said, over there. And there, sure enough, Lord Chaitanya totally in ecstasy, all his bones dislocated, his teeth chattering, chaga, 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 chanting Jagannath's name. So they said, because this fisherman is saying, Lord Chaitanya is this creature. It was making this horrible sound, because he couldn't understand what Lord Chaitanya was saying in his ecstasy. So he was totally petrified. He thought. So they went there, laid down the cloth, picked Lord Chaitanya, bathed him with the seawater, and then they started a kirtan. As soon as the kirtan reached the crescendo, boom, Lord Chaitanya came back, started coming back together like a tortoise going, came all the bones suddenly, came back. There Lord Chaitanya, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, he came out of that ecstasy. So Lord Chaitanya, just by touching Lord Chaitanya, that fisherman, he got love for Godhead. Actually, the Chankazi, just by touching the Chankazi, he felt love for Godhead. So somehow, if we can get Lord Chaitanya Nityananda just to put their lotus foot dust on our head, or somehow if we get their mercy, immediately we can have pure love for Godhead. So we are always hoping for that special mercy. But we don't just sit and say, all right, we're waiting for that and we don't do our service. We hope for that mercy. We pray for it. We want to get the mercy from Guru and Gauranga. Then shortcut everything. But to show our sincerity, to take any advantage, we practice devotional service by sadhana, by following the rules and regulations, regular routine. And even in that way, gradually, we can also achieve the same by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada, spiritual master, in a very quick period of time. We can also achieve the same realization. But the devotee is also always hankering for the mercy of Guru and Gauranga to get a little bit early benediction. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for a wonderful nectarian session. I would like to unmute the mic. The devotees can share their reflections and comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This is Gaurachandra Gopinath here. So yesterday we had this Sunday evening program. I also was hearing from one devotee how being in India and the family itself, against he practicing Krishna consciousness, his family, his son, somebody is progressing, Maharaj said in India also we have difficulties in progressing Krishna consciousness. So that practically we can see everywhere. The family thinks that, oh, how these devotees lived, everything is something different from the family members. So there's so much opposition for him. And he was expressing how he's trying to preach to them and things like that. So it's very practical, what's happening here. And everyone is struggling to become Krishna consciousness. If they're a little bit progress and the surrounding family members, the social customs, They think is something Krishna conscious means it's people are something different. They don't even understand the value of human life. It's amazing class. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. This class was given by Maharaj in Toronto in 1985. So around 37 years back, but even that time it was so relevant, and even now it is very relevant. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna devotees, are there any other comments or reflections from devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you are going to post this in the YouTube, it will be there, Prabhu, this lecture?
Yes, Mataji, it is available in YouTube, Mataji.
Because I joined late, I want to listen to the first part of it.
Yeah, sure, it's available, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, one point I would struck me was what Maharaj was saying, that the devotee was practicing there. He could have easily come to Mayapur and practice, but Maharaj said that I do not want to come here and practice so that the whole village will become Krishna consciousness. So how wonderful is that? So the vision of Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj, all Maharajas was really amazing. Just what we were like, if one devotee is practicing Krishna conscious, we want to rescue him and get to our this one so that he can practice. But the vision was that the whole village may become Krishna consciousness. That was wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, devotees, for your participation. If there are no questions, we can end the session with Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindho bhyayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Kritra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj ki jai. Thank you, Maharaj, for a wonderful nectarian session. Hare Krishna devotees, I will end the session. We will meet again tomorrow. Krishna willing.